Hi, I'm Dee Holdsworth and the owner of Dynamic Sports Therapy. I specialise in elite rider and equine soft tissue therapy and performance exercises. Two of my sponsored riders, Robert and Claire Oliver, need little introduction. Robert has written many books, of which one is a world-leading book in confirmation, thought of as the Bible of it. And I work with Claire on a relatively weekly basis. So we just wanted to do a video to show you how we work together in order to get the best results. So Robert is going to go through how he assesses a horse in terms of its conformation. I will then go through how I would treat that horse based on that conformation. Claire will then start riding the horse, and Robert and I will go through its dynamic conformation. So Robert, looking at this horse, how would you assess it?
Right, looking at the horse in front of us, you should always I've always been told from the foot upwards. This horse got particularly nicely balanced feet, not too big or too small. Then the angle of the pastern, both back and fore, is very important. I think the most essential thing is that it's a good horse or a sound horse would have a 45-degree angle to its pastern, neither too upright nor too sloping. If they're too sloping, they have a tremendous amount of wear on that joint and ligaments. A nice short cannon bone from the knee to the fetlock joint. If you're measuring bone, which people are always talking about bone below the knee, you would get a tape measure without pulling it too tight and measure below the knee comfortably. The average horse would sort of have between 7 and 9. The knee needs to be a nice flat knee, not a round knee. Then you've got to the forearm, a nice forearm, and a sloping shoulder that is particularly good on this horse. He's got a nice short back, which you require, and depth. That's the criteria of a well put together horse. Short back and deep. Then going on to his hind quarters, to his hind leg, neither too straight or too much bend or hook, as we often say. Nice clean joints. This horse again has got a nice set of clean joints. The setting of the tail is often important. Criteria often in a show horse needs to not be too high or obviously not too low. He's got a nice tail setting and a nice top line and outlook to him. A very intelligent head. You can see a nice bold eye and a good sort of outlook and length of rein.
Poor posture can really affect a horse's muscle tone and length. So seeing as this horse is standing up square, I think it's quite important to note that you should ideally try and get a horse standing square basically every time you get on, off, etc. And in terms of when you're riding with poor posture, basically you can get long and weak muscles and tight and short muscles, which can really have a dramatic effect. Soft tissue damage is the most common cause of back pain in horses. So if you think of the horse's muscles as a train, 60% of its body mass is actually muscles. So once one is affected, then it's sort of a chain reaction onto the others. So it's really important to try and keep them maintained. So just to start off with Claire working this horse in, regular stretching exercises both on and off the horse are key for keeping muscles in prime condition, and it's so important to keep the balance between muscular stability and flexibility. So this is where I come in terms of assessing the horse and the rider in that relation, as well as strength and suppleness. I know suppleness is a commonly used word, but most people automatically think straight to bending happily to the right and to the left, but it's also about moving with flowing rhythmic gait, and that when you shorten or lengthen, you're not losing that rhythm or flow at all, which I know Robert will definitely be looking out for in the ring. Showing horses do particularly get tight in the poll, mid-neck to behind the withers, and that's due to the static muscle work that the outline requires for a showing horse. Due to this being a young horse, we know that he may struggle slightly with his balance, and that's why it's very important for Claire to try and keep him straight and keep the rhythm throughout as much as possible, and then this in turn will then help with his core stability and therefore his balance. I'd like to actually point out here that Claire takes her rider specific exercises very seriously. As it's all very well and good working on the horse, but we're just the same as horses in terms of having favouring one side. So it's important for riders to focus on themselves and correcting our asymmetry, as there is absolutely no horse or rider that's completely symmetrical, but it's about training and strengthening those muscles for both athletes to be moving and performing at their absolute best.
The horse we're watching is the grey heavyweight horse. It's important that they carry both ends equally freely, but also in a nice outline and a natural outline. They need to be looking courageous and yet obedient. It's important that horses are fitted or got their fitness together and correct to enable them to carry themselves in this way. You can see that this horse is naturally balanced, and he's giving a comfortable, obedient ride to Claire.
Robert, when you're in the ring, what are the big things that you look for?
I think the main thing is the balance and natural presence of a horse. They need to carry their head quite high and an alert expression in their way of going, and look to be, even from the floor, from the judge's point of view, looking for a horse that looks comfortable and obedient.
I love lateral exercises, particularly pole work. You can think of them as the equivalent to horse gymnastics. It's fantastic for stability, spinal flexion, proprioception, balance, reaction times, coordination. As all of my clients know, and I'm sure you now do, I could literally go on forever with them. So I get most of the horse and riders I treat doing pole work, as personally I think it's something that's not used enough and highly underrated in all disciplines. But I would say it's best to go through these with your therapist or coach to tailor it, as there are so many different variations you can do, and you have got to be a little bit careful. But really the main things to consider here that Robert and I have said is that Robert and Claire be paying close attention really to balance, suppleness and the general rhythm throughout the show. Robert and Claire, as riders and judges, what are the things that you look for primarily and dislike as a judge and as a rider?
You can usually tell if a horse is too fresh and not listening to the rider's hands or legs, and if they particularly hang to the inside, it's a common fault and requires a lot of assessing and schooling to keep them straight and being obedient for the rider, and then of course the judge rides them afterwards.
As a rider and a judge, Robert, I feel you'd like a horse that's very comfortable, wouldn't you think, and obedient,
Yes.
and forward thinking and manly in its way of going.
Yeah.
To be
Perfect.
totally honest with you, for his type as a heavyweight hunter, you're actually hard pushed to fault him with his conformation. However, because he is relatively young, I would concentrate on his gluteal area, because of course he's going to be working that, and using areas that he hasn't used before, and also just keeping him supple in front, as like I said, due to the outline that a showing horse has to be in for a large period of time. That is an area through their shoulders, etc., that you want a lot of range of movement in order to show the horse to his full potential. But as you can see, he's a beautiful horse, and Claire rides him beautifully. So together they're a fantastic and very exciting combination for the future. Myself and the Olivers would like to thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and we wish you the best of luck at the coming Hoys. Please stay tuned to my YouTube channel. I'm going to start doing some videos with my sponsors, riders, and also some other clients. Many thanks.